right, my friends, welcome to another episode of the RPG Backlog. We are here with our Final Fantasy I arc. I am joined by my friends Travis and Tom, who in my game are still alive and kicking ass as a black mage and the monk. This week, we are talking about a few sections: Mount Duergar and Melmond, Cavern of Earth and the Vampire Battle, the Sage, the Terra Cavern, and the Lich. Thank you. And then the Crescent Lake, Mount Glug, and Marilith. So why don't you all tell me where you want to go, how you want to start?
Well, you know what? I usually talk a lot. So Tom, how about you go for it?
So you know what? All right, I'll just tell a little story about the struggles that I've been having with this game lately.
Perfect.
Which is that the time for me to play this is like after my partner goes to bed, and then it's like, oh, you know, what is it? It's 8:30, 9:30. I pick it up, and this game isn't that long, so it's like, yeah, you put 2 or 3 hours in, and you get through a ton of content as far as like our pacing. I have been falling asleep playing this game.
Oh no.
Like I can't. And part of it is I'm just tired, and there's been a lot going on, but like, what happens is, and I don't know about you guys, but unless it's like a really difficult, you know, enemy, like a boss or something with a bunch of like magic spells or something like that, I'm just mashing that A button. I'm just like, yeah, everybody just attack. And I'm so over leveled that I'll just clean this up. That's fine. Yeah. Anyways, I keep closing my eyes during that part and drifting off because like, so it's weird that this game, the encounters are making this game extremely boring for me. Like when you have to go anywhere, it's like, oh, I have to walk around. We got to walk through some forest. And it's like, all right, well, I got to fight the same 6 configurations of these trash mobs over and over and over. And maybe I did sort of just give up and start using the guide, but like I was trying to find my way to where I was supposed to go without any guidance before. And I just started getting really frustrated because it's like, I don't know where to go. And I'm just walking around. I'm fighting the same dudes over and over. Anyway, I was literally falling asleep at some point. And I don't mean that as a knock, because what I found out actually works better is when I'm on the overworld, just looking for stuff, I just turn the encounters off. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, I'm having a way better time with it, which is, it just feels so counterintuitive that by less things happening, the game is more interesting to me.
I mean, I think that's true. I mean, I've had a similar experience, not with this game, but with other games that are like this, where I don't know where I'm going. So I spend so much time getting lost. I get lost so many times in these kind of games that the random encounter rate being so high in this game, in my view, at least.
It's incredibly high. Like, well,
yeah. I'm currently playing Dragon Quest III HD 2D at the same time.
Yeah.
And the rate is a lot slower on that game. Mm-hmm. So I like playing these games with a guide from the beginning, so I know where to go, so that I don't waste my time and get frustrated. So I'm all the way through the end of section 10, which we'll talk about today, and my game time is at 5.5 hours total.
And I believe that mine's like pushing 9 or something, because I tried to go without it for so long, and it was getting to the point that it's like, I'm coming up on, you know, our time to record again. And it was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't keep going like this.
Yeah.
I mean, my game time is almost up to 10 hours, but that's not because I'm struggling with it. It's because I spend so much time just grinding. So I don't know, there's a lot of things that are different for me. I don't find the encounters annoying, and for a game this short, I understand why the encounters are so often, like the Dragon Age one that you're talking, or Dragon Quest, sorry, Dragon Age, oh my gosh. Dragon Quest that you're talking about, that makes a lot more sense why it's far fewer of those encounters, because it's a much longer game overall.
Yeah, right.
So I think, you know, back in the time period when this was made, their assumption was like, oh, we need to pack more of this in here to where people feel like they got their money's worth in it. Otherwise, they might be kind of frustrated with it. I understand I mash a lot of A buttons. I'm not going to lie, because my problem is I'm so overpowered that unless they have a one-hit kill, most of the time the mobs are just tickling my characters as it is.
That's what I'm saying, is that then that's the same situation with me. And I guess I just find it uninteresting that I have to sit there and watch these same animations and listen to the same battle music, just like over and over. And it would be one thing if, but anytime you're on the ocean, it's like, okay, it's the 2 eyeballs and the 3 sharks and the 2 little red guys. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah.
Even the loadout, there's only 3 or 4 of them. And it just, I think that's my gripe, is that for an encounter rate that is so high, I wish there was more variation in the enemies that you fought. The other thing is, I don't feel like they scale. So like those kind of like that particular party that you'll run into when you're in the ship on the ocean, as hard as they were when you first got the boat and you first got to the ocean, it's the same guys, even though you're 4 or 5 hours further along, 2 crystals later, it's the same guys. And I guess I just wish that they scaled along so that it kept those encounters interesting, instead of just like basically totally skippable and wishing you were doing something else or falling asleep.
Have you used the autoplay function?
I was going to ask the same question. Yep.
I saw that it was there. I assumed that it didn't make it go any faster. So no, I haven't turned it on.
I think it goes faster if you, I have it on ultra fast battle speed. I don't know what your battle speeds are.
Battle speed? Damn it. Okay. This is my problem then.
That was going to be the other thing I was going to say, is you can up the battle speed to where things go a lot faster, and the autoplay, just because it literally just does the auto attack thing for you.
Yeah, it basically, like whatever attack you did last time with your 4 folks, it'll just load that as what it does constantly until you reset it.
Yeah.
And with ultra fast, like for those, it's trivial. It just goes so quickly.
It's battle speed?
Yeah, in the upper left-hand corner when you're battling, I think it says battle speed.
What?
So mine's set to ultra fast. I mean, I set that like within 10 seconds of starting this game.
Yeah.
I can't stand slow battles.
You see it in the top
when
left?
you're battling. But it's in the menu somewhere.
It's in the menus. I would say I would tell you, but I'm playing on the Steam Deck, and I think you both are playing on the Switch. So
yeah.
All right, I'll hunt around for it. But that was basically what I found myself looking for, is you can turn the encounters off and on.
Yep.
And I wish that I could like have half as many encounters and have them give me twice as many experience, just so I wasn't spending. I know you can bump the experience, but you can't. Yeah. The encounters are either on or off.
That's true. But, so what I've done is, when I go, I think it was one of these, the Cavern of the Earth went all the way down to level 3, right? Mm. And then you have to come back out because you can't go past that tablet. And I was like, I am not fucking, having these encounters happen on the way back up. So I'm going to turn it off. And when I got back to the top, I turned it off, or I turned the encounters back on, but then I turned experience up to 4 times for about 5 minutes. So I just recaptured the XP I would have captured.
Yeah.
So just that delicate balance.
I guess I have a higher threshold for this. Maybe it's because I played EverQuest, the original, back in the day for so much time, and then World of Warcraft for way longer than I care to fucking admit. So
you like grinding, like you just like that.
To me, I wouldn't say I like it, but it's not.
Tell us what level you are, and we'll decide if you like it.
We're gonna go there right now. Shit.
Yep, 5 minutes in, we're going big.
Do you want to know what level I was when I ended that last encounter, or what level I am now after I spend another hour or 2 grinding afterwards?
Just rip the Band-Aid off, man. Where are you right now?
55.
Good fucking Lord, dude. You're a sicko.
Larry, I'm like right. You said you're at 33. I think
34. Yeah.
I think half my guys are at 33 and the other half are at 32 or something like that.
Yeah. So we're about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I beat the second crystal, the boss, at level 48.
So that's when you said
stomped him.
He was easy. That second crystal boss, and I guess we're skipping way ahead, but
that's fine. We can go out of order. So
that was like the first battle in maybe since like the very early game where I had any trouble at all. Like most of the time, I've killed everything within like, my party has 2 complete turns, and it's pretty much, it's either that or it's like mop up in a big group or something like that. But
Sure.
what's the Marilith? Was that critter's name?
Marilith, yeah.
That was that. My physical guys' attacks weren't doing very much, and let's talk about this for a second. Do you guys understand how the elemental system works in this?
I mean, I'm just guessing, so no.
Okay.
I mean, it depends, right? So water beats fire, fire beats earth, earth beats lightning, lightning beats water.
Are there water attacks in this game?
Ice is the same thing as water.
Because that's what was kind of throwing me a little bit, is that, okay, all right. Because it's like, okay, fire melts ice. I got that. And then, okay. And then there's earth and lightning. And lightning beats water. I noticed, the lightning being good against the aquatic things. I figured that one out.
But the dumb thing here is that, you're in this volcano, and Marilith is like a fire demon or whatever. Like the ice doesn't work. Ice doesn't do shit.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't do very well. It resists
ice. Yeah.
Earth is what does it to fire.
So I used Quake and it missed. It kept missing. I've yet to successfully cast Quake, and I can't figure out why.
I think Marilith, let's see. I don't know, because my freaking monk and warrior were hitting for, like, my warrior was hitting for 800 and my monk was hitting for 1,000. So literally that battle lasted 2 rounds. I attacked with the warrior. I attacked with the monk. I cast protect with my white mage, and I cast haste with my black mage on my warrior. The next round I was casting invis and haste on my monk, but after my warrior and my monk both attacked, Marilith was dead. Yeah. So that was literally my fight with Marilith. But looking up Marilith specifically, Marilith resists bolt, fire, and blizzard.
Yep.
Bolt, fire, and blizzard. So the earth stuff is the only thing that should do anything.
Its weakness was paralysis, which I don't know.
I don't know what spell that is. What's
Neither
paralysis?
do I.
It's the level, whatever, like level 6, I think. Is it called stop or something like that?
Yeah,
Sure. Well,
continuing in my stat effects, I'm too good for status effects. I eschewed that.
Well, my battle with Marilith probably went like 6 or 7 rounds.
That's close to what mine was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, I just kept physical attacks basically, then using my white mage, my black mage to be support. And it went fine. I didn't die, and it wasn't even close. It was a little harder than the normal mobs, but not much. So
yeah, I wish. I do find myself wishing I should just sit down and read it, but there's part of me that sort of wanted the game to teach me more of it. Yeah. I wonder if that's.
But this is the thing that I've realized with these older games: the games themselves are not going to teach you. The manuals are what taught you everything.
Yeah, and this manual was extensive.
I mean, it was just like the what was it, Sword of Mana or whatever, the Final Fantasy Adventures one.
Yeah.
That we started. It was literally the same thing. Like that manual taught you everything. If you just walked into that game, you had no idea what any of that shit was.
Yeah, I need to just having learned that lesson the hard way a couple of times, just get over that. But it's
it's why
for whatever reason, my thief in the Marilith battle was doing single digit damage.
Oh, damn.
I have no clue why.
Were you using a dagger?
I don't know what he had equipped. Does it resist daggers?
No. So I don't know if it resists daggers, but I have noticed that with some things that have high physical resistance or high armor, like my black mage has, I think, a Mythril dagger that I got in the 2nd or 3rd city, and he'll just be wailing away, hitting things, and all of a sudden there'll be something that looks like it should have a high armor rating, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm doing one hit, like
an ogre or something like that.
Yeah, I'm doing 1 damage per hit. It's like, oh.
So I just pulled it up. I answered my own question here. my thief is wielding something called a coral sword, a sword that is effective against aquatic enemies. So
Nah.
if it's like a water sword or whatever, then it probably does hell against fire.
Yeah, the
thing,
equipment matters, right?
Yeah.
But it is weird though that there's nothing in the menu system that you have to kind of intuit it from like the flavor text, right?
Yep.
And because you get some stuff that's kind of obvious, like an ice sword or a fire shield or something like that, but that it doesn't. Yeah, it still feels like that elemental system is kind of hidden, right?
Well, and it is like you have to drill down to the menu. You have to like go select your item and figure out what it does. It is not surfaced very well. And again, I think it's like Travis said, it's because that manual had so much going for it.
Does the manual explain why? Like, okay, so you're in a dungeon, you're cruising along, and you sometimes find like these rooms with like 8 treasure chests, which is hilarious. That exists, and it's actually weirdly satisfying to be like, well, opening 1 treasure chest is fun. Opening 7 of them is about 7 times as fun.
Well, then half of them have monsters when you open them.
But that's sort of baked in now, right? I assume they all have monsters before I even bother.
Yeah.
But like, okay, and you get like, a new helmet and a new shield and this cool sword or whatever. It is not obvious at all to me who can equip those things.
Oh.
Like, I have to go in to every person and see, and it seems like all the stuff I find is for my warrior. And like, I never find any of the staves for the mages. I almost never find a sword for the thief. It's all, at least the bulk of what I'm finding are helms, armor, gloves, stuff. Something like a pair of gloves, right? And they all can wear gloves, but this particular pair of gloves only the warrior is allowed to wear. And I don't get that.
I've had the same thing where I found mostly stuff for my warrior. I don't mind because my monk uses nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that works for you, yeah.
It does. It works for me, but if I had something where I needed something, that would suck because the monk needs nothing. And
It just makes me feel like is there thief and mage stuff that I'm just not finding? Judging by the treasure chest counters, like no, I'm opening almost all the boxes, and it just seems funny that there's like so much equipment for the warrior and everybody else. It's like every once in a while you find something, but almost never. And the stores too.
I mean, I don't really have an answer for this that I think satisfies anything. My take on this is, if you think about this being based off of D&D back in the day, version 1, like the warrior was the iconic class, right? And my assumption is that they put a lot of effort in around that as opposed to the other ones, because let's be real, when you look at a white mage, they're support. That's all they do.
Yeah. Right.
You don't really care about their gear. And like a black mage or a wizard, they're just glass cannons. That's all they do. Gear doesn't really matter. The thief kind of is in a weird spot. Like the monk, as Larry said, like you literally strip the SOB naked and you do way better damage, take way less damage. Everything about the monk is just better without anything on them, except for the accessory, because that actually bumps up their evasion skill. But that's the only thing I can come up with, is that their assumption is that people are more likely to focus all their efforts on a warrior because that's going to be their primary damage dealer. Now, my assumption is when the thief goes to a ninja, my assumption is that if and when you do that, your like the types of gear you can use will probably open up a bit more.
Okay. Something to look forward to for normal.
I forgot you named it normal. This Crescent Lake area was interesting. The last section we were in, because you get there and off hidden in the upper right-hand corner is this path through the woods to find these fucking mages or whatever.
Yeah.
Sages.
Sages.
Sages, thank you. And they give you a canoe. So another way to travel across the world. Like I left that town and I was like, I don't know what, where I'm supposed to be going, and kind of dicking around a little bit. I'm like, okay, let me go back and look at the guide so I don't waste my time. I'm like, oh, I need to go back there and find this circle of sages.
That's like a really funny visual. Like when you get back there,
yeah,
like, man, there's a lot of you guys back here and standing in very specific spots.
Yeah, I feel like this should be like the nudist colony of Final Fantasy lore.
Jeez.
And one of them is like a special one, right? He looks different.
The one who makes sense. Yeah.
The first one on the right or whatever.
Yeah. Where he's like, the rest of them like tell you like, I feel like this is the point where like you're getting story about the world. Like each of them tell you something. They're like, wow,
I liked that.
Yeah, we're halfway through the game. Like all of a sudden now I get story about what's actually happening. And then one guy's like, I need to give you a canoe. Fuck. All right, sweet.
I had a note that I jotted this down that I thought was kind of interesting. Jumping back to, is it Mount? How do you say that? Duergar?
I was saying Duergar, but whatever. Yeah,
I probably spelled it wrong in the notes.
Yeah, Duergar.
We all
when you're in there.
It's D&D. Duergar is dark dwarves.
Yeah, but you're saying Duergar and it's Duer.
Yeah, it's Duergar.
There you go.
Duergar. When you're in there, did you talk to all the dwarves when you were in there?
I talked to some of them. I was like, all right.
One of them makes a comment about like if you have a glass eye, you can see everything. I hear the dark elf Astos stole one from Montoya or whoever that
the witch. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I was super confused because like that whole plot line had resolved by the time we got here.
Right. Uh-huh.
And I don't even know if it's possible to access this area if you haven't finished that part, because it very much read like a chunk of text that like when the witch is like missing her eye, right? You can find the witch and she's like, dang, where's my eye, right? And like, I don't know where your eye is. If you were just looking around and you bumped into the dwarf and he'd be like, oh, I hear Astos took it. It's like, oh, Astos, I'm supposed to go figure that out somewhere. You know what I mean? It read like a hint that felt useless to me at the time that I found it, which I thought
you'd already done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have hit that before you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the way things are, and I'm trying to remember this. But yeah, once you have the ship, you could have sailed over to that port, gotten off
the ship way before you have to finish any of that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, right. And then you could have ended up walking down into that cave and talked to them, and then it's been like, oh, but you wouldn't have been able to go any further because you wouldn't have the nitro powder.
Right. But then that's like a total inversion. I think that's actually really cool that that's in there then, because if you were like really good and stuck and lost, that would have been a help, right? You would have found your way over there looking for something to do, and that maybe would have helped steer you in the right direction.
That's one of those things that in later games they would have a switch or something in the program that says like, hey, if this event has happened, kill this text off and replace it with something else. But
whatever the weird little song they sing to you is, or some la-di-loo or whatever the heck.
But I think at this point in time, there's a lot of those things that we take for granted these days that just aren't going to exist due to storage and memory and processing limitations of the time. But
the dwarves were cool. Are they all Scottish? Did you guys pick up on that?
I did. Oh yeah. The way that what they're saying is written. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is so stereotypical. Everything.
Which I have so many questions though, right? Because like how. It's easy enough in a phonetic language like English to depict accents that way. I don't think it's possible to do that with, kanji or whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how it was produced in Japanese or if they just skipped that.
That's a great point.
My guess is that I think there are like dialects of Japanese, right? Or like I don't know, sure. More or less formal ways of speaking. Maybe they all talked like kind of like country bumpkins or something like that. And I don't know, they had to localize that somehow and they picked this other thing. But I thought that was really interesting too.
Well, but that's the spoken language. Typically, the written language doesn't reflect those dialects. Typically.
Really? Okay.
Or at least from my experience. Actually, Larry, you're the professional on this. You should be able to answer that question.
I'm the professional on Japanese language. I am not.
No. I'm talking about like languages in general. Like, you know way more about language than I freaking do.
Yeah, but I mean, I think about Chinese, right? Different Cantonese, Mandarin,
Cantonese, Mandarin, and all those, they use the same written language,
it's
but
the same
different.
written language, but they say it differently. So I think you're on to something in terms of like that's possible. I don't know enough about Japanese. I mean, I studied for a year, but it was, they've got the different written forms, hiragana, katakana, kanji, romanji, that it's possible. I just don't know enough about it to say definitively.
Yeah, that was what I was basing my assumption on, is because I know like Mandarin, Cantonese, and then all the other different dialects outside of that, because there's a plethora of them, all use the same written, language, whether it's simplified or traditional. It's still written the same. It's just how they say it.
Exactly.
Also, in the category of me expecting too much from this game for what it was at the time, I was super disappointed that the dwarf cave didn't flood when, they set off a bomb under a landmass that collapsed into the sea.
You give them the nitro powder.
That whole hallway, and it's like, no, it's cool.
Yeah, you just back down this hallway and you won't die. We're good. But you blew a hole through the fucking mountain that you can now sail through. So something's not right here.
Yeah.
That's totally true. That was fun though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still really enjoying the D&D aspect of this, where it really is these individualized towns with their individualized problems, and you're the archetypical. Fuck me, I don't know. You're the archetype.
If you don't, I sure as hell don't know. Fuck.
The archetype characters, right, are coming through, and you're kind of, I'm continually putting myself in the headspace of like 1987 to 1990, playing a fucking really fairly well realized D&D game. The funny thing about the miss rate you were talking about, Tom, is that the original NES version, a lot of those spells were bugged and they never hit. So it was always miss. And honestly, I still feel like that's happening because I miss way more than half the time on a lot of those spells that are supposed to neutralize the enemy.
The attack spells?
Yeah. Or even like the paralyze spell or stop or whatever else.
So those status effect ones, that has to be part of it, because like I was shopping for magic in whatever Crescent Lake, the town that's by there. I can't remember what it's called now.
Toward the end, Crescent Lake,
Crescent Lake is the town. And one of them is called Death, and it says like instantly kill somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, that sounds cool, but if it worked 100% of the time, it would be ridiculously overpowered. So it must have just some like severe penalty to the hit rate.
It's based upon level difference or what.
Okay.
So, like if you're much higher level than it, it's going to hit much more often than what it will if you're the same level or a lower level. That's going to be the same for a lot of the status ones, depending on if you're and this is. Be aware that I don't know this as like, oh, I've tested this out. This is coming from experience of like playing D&D, playing Final Fantasy. Like a lot of these high-powered spells, they don't work or they get resisted by the mobs if they are the same level or higher than you. And if you think about it in D&D, if you're trying to hit if you're level 6, you're trying to hit a level 6 freaking NPC, they have just as good of ability to dodge it or, resist whatever is coming at them as you would. So, and I think that's what the thing is, especially things like death. They take a harder hit than something like Faraga or something like that.
Right. And I also think that that's probably where some of my like lack of patience for that more like nuanced style of play comes from. Is like just give me the thing that I know is gonna land, and I'll worry about that, instead of this like gamble every time of, well, maybe they'll be paralyzed and maybe they'll also just kick my ass.
So with the status effects, how often have your characters been blinded?
Towards the the end of this run here, way more often than normal.
What's that animation look like?
You looks like you're wearing sunglasses.
Sunglasses, yeah.
I have never seen this.
Have you noticed it actually impairing your character's ability to hit shit?
In any way. So what's it supposed to do?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't experiencing this, because it's like every time it gets cast on my character, I have done literally nothing with it, and it has not phased my character in any way, shape, size, or form. It's just like, I'm going to hit as if there's nothing wrong. So I was just curious if anyone else had experienced that as well.
Do they look cool wearing the sunglasses? I feel left out now.
Yeah. They kind of do, actually.
That's why I leave it. I'm like, oh, you look cool. That's fine. I'll just leave it how it is.
Talk about an anachronism.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait a second. This is like a medieval fantasy town. You've got fucking Ray-Bans?
Yeah.
Here?
Whatever the gif of them like coming down from outside the screen and landing on your deal with it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was mostly straightforward. The thing that I thought was annoying is that you get down to the bottom of the Cavern of the Earth, and then you're stuck. You gotta go all the way back after you defeat the vampire, I believe. You get the Star Ruby, and you have to go back and go to the Titan's Cave and give it to Titan.
Yep.
Which is a summon later in other games, right? Titan is a summon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is like the first time you see Titan. It's obviously not a summon here. But then you got to go back to that. Looks
like more of a golem here, though. At least the Titan guys that I've seen are like some dude that shows up and like flips the earth like it's a table or something. This guy had more of like a he looked like he was a dude made of stone, right?
Yeah, and he's not much bigger than your character, to be honest.
Right.
But then you go back to, open up that tablet, go down to the next 2 levels and battle Lich. I don't know why I can't say that word. Fiend of Earth. And then immediately you go onto the Crescent Lake thing and get to the volcano, and you battle the second Fiend of Fire, Marilith. So we're like, boom, boom, through 2 main bosses pretty quickly here. Although, according to the guide, we're at section 10, and we've only got, 17 sections total? So
we're past the halfway point.
I would think so, unless these extra, the next ones are like way longer, but I don't know. I don't know if I get that impression.
I mean, looking ahead at the guide, it looks like 16 and 17 are significantly longer.
Oh, okay.
Like the tower has 1, 2, 3 levels, but then the Flying Fortress has 5. The Temple of Chaos has 3 levels, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional maps on top of those 3 levels. So that tells me that there's going to be quite a bit.
This is interesting because we talked about in the first or the 0 episode, maybe. The Team Ninja, I think it was Team Ninja, did a Final Fantasy Origins. The Souls-like that came out in 2022. Remember the title of that, Travis?
Strangers of Paradise.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And it's like a prequel to this or something that's in parallel, but you're battling chaos. And I see here at the last part, that's what you're battling here. So it'd be interesting to see that after this and see how it tackles kind of the same stuff. If you go to the same areas or not, I don't know.
It's on sale on Steam right now.
Oh yeah, Steam sale's up.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from it.
Yeah, good, yeah. Strangers of Paradise.
50% off. It's $20. Very tempting. Anyways,
yeah,
I liked that though. Going back to what we were talking about with the number 1, I think what are they? The fiends of. Oh, then it's like Fiend of Element, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's something that they hit on, and that feels very much like I don't know, like their story there. If you want to think of this as like a computer game version or video game version of D&D. Like these guys might have a story behind them. And what I thought was really cool about talking to the sages was they even like did like the tiniest little bit of like world building. They're like, oh yeah, the I can't remember which one, but they were like, yeah, so and so, the fiend of whatever. They will, maybe it's a wind fiend or something like that, like 400 years ago, and like laid waste to the civilization in the north. And you can see on the map there's these whole northern continents that we haven't been to yet. And that got me like really excited about kind of the late game when we get up there. And then the other cool part about that was they were like, the Fiend of Fire has been quiet for hundreds and hundreds of years, but when you started screwing around with the Earth Fiend, it woke up. Right. Like, you should probably go take care of that.
Yeah, you fucked us up. Get out there and help us out, man.
But then the idea that there was this I don't know, kind of little tiny baby history lesson that you were getting from these guys about what was happening in. Does this place have a name? The land?
That's a great question that I don't know the answer to.
But wherever the world is here, it's like the thing that, because I felt like the intro, like literally the beginning of this game where they kind of set the table and they explain like, oh, the earth is like going horrible and the land is dying and everything sucks. Like I found that, and we talked about this, but like I found that really compelling for a game that has as little to work with as this one does. That was like, wow, I'm like psyched to play this game. And I felt like talking to those sages, it kind of immersed me in the way that intro did again. And I liked that a lot.
I felt the same way. It started off like really, really dramatically, which I'm not exactly getting as we're going through, but certainly, the limitations of the hardware account for that. Looking here at the wiki, again, it's fandom, so tell your wife, Travis.
World A.
Well, it says Final Fantasy, the original, takes place in an unnamed fantasy world with 3 large continents. It's referred to as World A.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, in Dissidia, it was referred to as World A.
Yeah. World's elemental powers are determined by the state of 4 glowing crystals, which, fast forward to Final Fantasy 16, you go around and destroy them all. So much with crystals. Earth, fire, water, and wind. And we've done earth and fire so far, right?
Yes. Earth and fire, yes.
Okay. Yep. So water and wind come up.
Okay. Did either one of you actually mark down the hit points to your characters when you got to level 30?
Oh, fuck no. I totally forgot, dude.
Come on, man. You're killing me, Smalls.
I absolutely forgot.
And you now I'm hosed because I don't know when you guys are going to get to level 55.
Well, but we're...
In my defense, I was probably sleeping when that happened.
Yes, thanks for joining this arc of the podcast. The game is so boring, it's putting me to sleep. Just kidding. We're close to 30, so we can tell you what our levels are.
I don't think that we were reading about this, about the level progression, and I think I was looking back, I think we got it wrong. I think that the progression is predetermined.
I'm curious.
Because we were reading about because I think the last time we were talking about this, you were like, oh, it's like a 1 in 8 chance and stuff like that. That chunk of that wiki was about this Origins game, I think, or it was one of the remakes of this or something like that. It wasn't about the actual original one.
I'm pretty sure I was reading about the original one where it's telling you that it's like a, whatever stamina, whatever is divided by 4 times some multiplier.
Let's see.
But I don't have it in front of me, so let me look at it again.
I mean, I didn't read shit. I was listening to you guys talk about it, so...
Now I can't find the one that we were doing. So anyway, I'll try and...
No, I got it right here. It's the same fandom one. So for Final Fantasy 1, stat growth. Stat growth refers to the permanent improvement of the stats of the player characters. For Final Fantasy 1, the majority of stats are class dependent. Stats can only be increased by leveling up, duh. Character gains a bonus to hit points equal to floor, which is vitality divided by 4. Characters' hit percent and magic damage are increased by amounts determined by the character's class, which seems to be set, right?
Yeah.
Each level has a guaranteed stat increase, including strong HP boosts, which are decided by the class of the character. So that's also set. And then each of the stats that were not guaranteed on level up, the character has a 1 in 4 chance of increasing those stats. So there are some that increase, I think, like you were saying, Tom, that happen at a certain rate, guaranteed, but then some that are not like class dependent that are 1 in 4 chance of increasing.
Where does it talk about the HP boost? Because sometimes that goes up a lot and sometimes it only goes up a little.
So yeah, it's right here. So each level has guaranteed. But Warrior, for example, attaining level 2 will always gain a point in strength and a point of strong HP. Warrior level 3 will always gain a point of agility and then a point in vitality. There are also levels with no guaranteed stat increases. Strong HP ups are an additional 20 to 25 HP on top of the usual HP increase amount. So it looks like here, at some levels you will get a quote unquote strong HP up, and some levels you won't, which
And I
means
think those are predetermined. Is I guess what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, those are predetermined. So
Okay.
it speaks to why, for one level up, you might get like your hit points might increase by like 7, and then the next one your hit points increase by 38.
30. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wonder if stamina is something that always goes up for every character, or if it's one of those ones that there's a chance that it goes up, because that would be the deciding factor whether or not we all have the same hit points or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine we have the same HP for our warriors, but the other stats not so much. The ones that are not warrior stats that are, the warrior level 2 point in strength, point, and then you get the strong HP. Warrior level 3 gets 1 point in agility, 1 point in vitality. But the other stats that are not those on that level up, 1 in 4 chance of increasing those at all.
Yeah.
So around the edges, maybe differences. Interesting game. I'm glad we're going back and doing this. For me, between the guide and the fast battle speed, and like I said, I've had it on 2x XP for most of the time, and gold as well. Like it's made it so it's more enjoyable. It's less grindy. Because I'm not a psycho like Travis who loves that grind.
I don't love the grind. I just enjoy the game, and when I get to a point where we've agreed to stop at, I stop, but I keep playing the game. I don't know. It's one of those things where I can turn my brain off and just kind of go, and I don't know. I just enjoy that aspect of it, and so
I will say I don't like when we get to a new area. I'm very like all of a sudden the battles are interesting again, because it's like, oh, here's these new guys. Like, let's try and figure out their elemental weaknesses. And when you do kill them, it's like, 10 times as much experience as you're used to getting in the last place where you've, over leveled yourself and kind of saturated out. And then in given battle didn't really move the needle. When you finally move to a new area, it sort of counts again, if that makes sense. And so I that part of it I think is fun. Like when I got to when you first get the canoe, and then you can start you get the it's like a shoreside battle arena kind of thing, like a different biome for you to fight stuff in, and you get the crocodiles and the piranhas and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's really exciting. So I think Larry, I'm gonna do what you do and just like put the boost on and just like not be upset about it and just turn off the battles when I want to get somewhere new.
Yeah, I think it just makes it more enjoyable. So it just shaves off the rough edges that, we would have expected playing this for real, when it came out. But
have you guys had like money problems?
No,
because I have 2x in my gold.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
And I grind too much according to you guys. So
what I find is interesting, at least to the extent that I hadn't been tinkering with that stuff before this week, was it's like almost impossible for this game for the we talk about being over leveled for bosses and things like that. I feel like just the process of like walking, maybe it's because I was lost so much. Maybe that's why. If you knew where you were going, you could get there and be sort of mid-level. I was looking at the guide we've been following, and like, I think the part that we just did, they were like, yeah, you should probably be at like level, I don't know, 18 or 19. And I'm like rolling in there at like 27.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is too easy. But I found like if you leave encounters on, even without the boost, just getting to where you need to go and clearing all the dungeons and getting all the treasure chests, you have to fight so much stuff that by the time you get to the boss, it feels cakewalk.
Yeah. No, I haven't been using the boost, so that gives you an idea. Yeah.
You haven't used the XP boost at all?
No.
Wow. I guess that makes sense because you said you're pushing 10 hours and I'm just over 5. So if I'm doing 2x, I think that makes sense.
I'm at, what am I at? I'm at 9.5 is where I am right now.
Yeah. When it comes to my time actually doing what we're planning to do,
not much.
An hour,
right.
maybe that. Like, I think if I just mainline this, I think I'd be at between 3 and 4 hours. Right. So if you take that into consideration, I mean, and I know I have at least 10, probably more than that. I have to go back and check. I don't have my deck next. Actually, wait, I'm at my computer. Just open up freaking Steam, you moron. Duh. And so, yeah, I've got 10.9 hours. So I'm almost at 11 hours. So that basically means that I have 6 hours of just grinding and nothing else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually hit because I don't buy a lot. I've been pretty frugal. I literally hit the or the gil cap.
What's the gil cap?
999,999.
Okay, well, that's good because you have enough for when we get to the next section. You need a certain amount of gil to do a certain thing. So,
I'm not worried about diddly squat by way of money.
Yeah.
So
I blew through and decided to buy 99 of every item except for like the cottage and the tent and the sleeping bag. And I still have
spells too.
Huh?
Oh, I guess what am I kidding? You're 25 levels ahead of me. So yeah, you because that's basically I found that's pretty balanced, at least without doing super grind. And being mostly on track with what I think where you would be, like I said, turning it off for some time and then boosting for a little bit. I think I'm average to where I ought to be, roughly speaking, for this point in the game. And it's been really satisfying to roll into a new town and be like, oh, there's all this new magic. And I can afford most of it, but maybe not quite all of it, along with the armor and weapons and stuff like that. Because that's always sort of disappointing. It's like, oh, man, I'm going to have to remember to come back here and buy the stuff I can't afford. That seems to not really be an impediment, and that's pretty satisfying to go in a new place and just like kid out, and then you got new stuff to play with.
Yeah,
for me, it's been a time saver where I don't have to leave, go grind gold, and then come back and buy the thing I wanted. I have the money there, but that's because I boosted the gold.
And in that vein about the magic, I've actually been really pleasantly surprised by how fast you've gotten access to like better stuff. Because you start at the beginning, it's like, oh, you can cure and you can do a little healing, and it's kind of quaint. And with the black mage, it's like, oh, you can cast fire on one guy and this is fine. And then 2 hours later, it's just like burn them all, Firaga. That comes on fast, which is cool, instead of making you wait like a long time for that.
Right. Yeah. I love the fact that you move into, instead of just attacking one person, you get the AoE or whatever, where it's like everyone burns.
Do we know where the magic tops out at? I guess it's like roughly the number of towns.
I would think 8 or 9.
Okay. I think where we are now.
I think if you scroll down to your spell slots, like we're at level 6 or 7 right now, maybe 6. But then you scroll down, does it show the blank rows for the ones that are upcoming?
Magic.
Level 8. Level 8.
Yeah, it goes to 8.
Okay.
Level 8, yeah.
All right.
So what do you think about next sections? Do you want to do like the next 2? I'm trying to be mindful, Tom, of the limited time you have to play. I don't want you to break your neck.
In a stunning reversal of my fortunes, I got caught up maybe, I don't know, right before we were supposed to have dinner. I beat Marilith, and so I had an hour or two before we were doing this. I'm like, I'm gonna get ahead. So I'm through the ice cavern.
There you go. All right.
I could probably do 3, maybe up through 13.
Okay. Travis, that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. How much gil do you have, Tom?
It's kind of a personal question, but
how many hit points do your characters have?
How firm is your character's butt?
Oh man, it's Mythril firm. Put it that way. Let's see. Right. My level 33 warrior has 571 hit points. For those of you keeping score at home, and I have 310,000.
Wait. Level what?
33 warrior.
Has how many?
571.
See, I have at level 30, I had 585 on my warrior, so it is not.
Oh,
it is not the same.
Yeah.
Larry, what does yours have, and what level?
My Switch is not in front of me, so
I can
text you later. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm in my garage in the booth.
Yeah, because I was like, my white mage at level 30 had 443 hit points. It was the second highest hit point character I have.
So that's interesting that you say that, because my white mage's hit points have vastly outstriped my black mage's, which kind of surprised me. Okay. Same. So that must be baked in there somewhere. My white mage has 462 at level 33.
See, you have more and I'm 443. Yeah, so
probably comparable.
Probably comparable. At level 30, my black mage had 225.
220. Oh wow! So I'm only at 33, so 3 levels ahead, and I have 310.
Yeah, so yours, like my black mage, is getting a shaft on the hit points.
So there is some sort of variation. Happening. That's interesting.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, a couple things that have come through my mind on this one. Like, part of me wants to try this again with like an all warrior party.
It's so easy. This game would be so easy with 4 warriors.
No, fucking 4 monks, man.
Yeah, monks would be even easier, I think.
Well, it costs you nothing. You gotta spend shit.
But the other thing I was thinking about is, I wonder what it'd be like.
You spend money on the items because you got no way to heal them then, right? If you had 4 monks.
Yeah, good point.
3 monks and a white mage or something like
Yeah, there you go.
But also the other thing that's kind of been rolling through my head is going through this again, turning off all the random encounters and seeing if you can just mainline the story and still be strong enough to beat the game.
I think you can, because before, when I did it, load it the first time and got spanked, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out what the fuck my party should be. There's like so many different variations and permutations people were talking about, like were viable. Like 4 warriors was one of them, 4 red mages was another one. Which I don't know, that just seems like hell, but
yeah.
Why do people not like the red mage?
I think he's like a jack of all trades thing that is master of none.
The red mage is a cross between a white mage, a black mage, and a warrior. It's really weird. And usually what happens is they start out pretty strong because they have pretty solid hit points, can hit pretty hard physically, and have access to the same spells that a white mage and a black mage does. But in the mid to late game, what happens is they stop having as many hit points as a warrior. They stop hitting as hard as a warrior. And I think they cap out at like level 5 spells for the white mage and black mage. So they no longer get the strength from that either. So they kind of just die off in the later half. Like when we did the Final Fantasy 12, I started off with my characters as red mages and they smoked everything. And then about 3 or 4 hours in, I think it was, I switched them out to other classes because they were you could just tell how much weaker they were than everything else. So
do we know where in the playthrough we get, because you can't change any of that stuff. It's sort of set in stone, short of advancing them to their like upgraded class. Do we know when that happens in this?
Technically it happens in number 12.
Oh.
So you did 11, so the number 12, it looks like, as I'm reading it, it says trials and class promotions.
There it is. Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm having a good time. I think the best thing about this is podcasting about it, because every single time it's like, oh yeah, I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know that was the thing we could do. This is great. Despite
my trials that I was talking about at the top, I'm actually having a good time with it too. I think it's a nice little story in there, and the coat of paint of the Pixel remaster, it's pleasant enough to look at and to be sticking with. So, and it's also kind of it does go pretty quick that you're moving through the story, and it'll be fun. It's a good pace.
Yep, absolutely. So we're committing to next 3 sections: Ice Cavern and get to the airship, airship adventures, Citadel trials, and class promotions, and then trading quest to breathe underwater. So we'll get through those, and we will see everyone next week. If you like our podcast, please rate it on your podcast service of choice. And thanks for sticking with us, and we will be back next week. See y'all.